So as you can see, we got the EGR cooler off. This is one of your covers. Blocks off the coolant hose that comes off of this and runs up to the EGR cooler. And then the other one is down underneath there. You can see it right there. That's the cap. The hose comes up and around this hose right here. It comes up through here and into the bottom of the EGR cooler. And then over there, that's your port off of the exhaust manifold that runs into the EGR cooler. We're going to be putting a block off plate, this block off plate right here. It's got like a recess on the other side of it. That will be going into that flange on the exhaust manifold, blocking off the EGR cooler there. And then, as I said before, we have this thing over here that deletes the part of the EGR cooler that goes into the throttle body. So let's get to it. Okay, what I want to show you guys now was how to get this belt off. It's kind of a pain, it sucks, not gonna lie. There's a tool that you're supposed to use to do it, but what you can do is you can put a pry bar up in between the sway bar here and pry against the belt. And there's also a special tool you're supposed to have to turn the motor around. I don't have that tool, but what you can do is turn the crank pulleys. And all you're doing is turning the motor, and it will pull the belt off of the AC compressor. Just like that. Then make sure when you're taking that belt off and putting it back on that you put it back on going in the same direction of travel that it was before. You can mess the belt up if it runs back the opposite direction of what it's normally used to. So let's get this harmonic balancer swapped out and I'll show you how to put the belt back on. Alright, new harmonic balancer in, tighten down, got that stretch belt put back on, and when you're going back on, what you're going to do is you're going to put the belt back on the crank first, and then just kind of with your hand, it's actually not really that hard to do, you're going to push the belt back on to this bottom part of this pulley, turn the engine over at center bolt, and help ride it with your thumb all the way around the top of the pulley until it falls back onto the pulley. And then you're just going to take a pry bar again up through here and pry the belt down here at the bottom just towards the middle of the pulley, and just put enough tension on it till it like rides in the middle visually, and then just keep turning the engine over and it'll pull as you turn it, it'll pull the belt back into the center of the AC compressor pulley, and it'll be back on. You just got to make sure that you got it all in the right grooves, because this pulley doesn't have like a lip on it. So this one you can kind of tell that it's in the groove real easily, but the AC compressor's got to be sure that it's riding in the middle, because there's a giant flat spot on the front and a flat spot on the back, so you just got to make sure you feel like it's centered in there. So we got that all done. We got our EGR cooler put in, or delete installed. We just got to put our fan back in. I got to modify that charge air pipe so we can have our silicone coupler on the end. And then the last thing we have to do is our downpipe, which requires the removal of this diesel particulate filter right here. It's not really all that fun. It's been a while since I've done one, so I kind of gotta remember how to do it, but we'll get it taken care of. Alright guys, I apologize I didn't record a lot of taking this diesel particulate filter out. It's really labor intensive, it's kind of hard to get in there and it's hard to see, so there's not really much I can show you while I'm taking it apart. What I can show you is what you have to take apart. You look, there's a connector hanging down right there next to the wastegate actuator. That's one of the oxygen sensors, or the oxygen sensor that you have to unplug. Right next to it up there is one of the EG temp sensors, and the other one is up there above the wastegate actuator that you can't see. You have to unplug those three. There's two rubber hoses that go on this pressure sensor here. There's a bracket that goes right here. These two screws and comes out like this, that goes into the bottom of the diesel particulate filter. You have to undo that and take that bracket out of the way. There's a 13mm that runs up the side of, if you look straight up from below, on the diesel particulate filter, holding it to a bracket that was screwed right here, and it came out like this. And then the 13 goes up this way into the bottom of the diesel particulate filter to hold it in. And then there's a clamp on here that goes on the back side of the turbo. That's that clamp right there. It's a, I think it's an E10. You can also use an 8mm 12-point socket and or ratcheting wrench to get it off. I had to take the motor mount arm off, the motor arm that runs from here to here, to get the diesel particulate filter out. There's just not enough room to get it between the arm and the body of the car here. Jack the motor up in the front with a stiff knee, or pull jack, whatever you want to call it. And then you can take the bracket out, pull the diesel particulate filter out, and then you have to swap over the oxygen sensor. And you're supposed to swap over the exhaust gas temp sensor into this port right here. For some reason, this port, I don't know if you're supposed to use a different kind of exhaust gas temp sensor, but when you put it in there and screw it down, there's nothing to bottom the sensor out against. It just kind of goes in and out. I don't know if that's just something that we'll have to remedy with a different type of sensor, but right now I'm just going to leave that cap plugged in there. But you need the oxygen sensor in order for the car to run. That goes in this port right here. This is your catless or particulate filter free downpipe. There's a gasket that goes on this that came off of the old particulate filter that goes on here to seal against the turbo, and then you put your clamp back on, and then this part goes on this end right here. And we're actually going to take this metering valve out of the equation as well, because without the, you're not going to need this metering valve anymore. We're going to take that out. That's what this is for, was to help this thing spray a finer mist. So since we're eliminating that, we don't need this anymore, so we're going to go ahead and take that off as well. Alright guys, got this diesel emissions delete done today. Took me a little bit longer than I planned on it. Sometimes that's just how things go when you're dealing with aftermarket stuff. Sometimes it just doesn't fit right, or it requires a little bit of tweaking or some elbow grease to get it to do what you want it to do. That can take some time. I had to run to the parts store and grab some bolts for the downpipe. Other than that, I didn't really run into any problems with this. You noticed on that startup that there was a little bit of white smoke from the exhaust. That was caused by whatever cleaning chemicals were used to clean out the intake manifold. As you can see, the car's running right now. No exhaust, no smoke from the exhaust anymore. So everything's good. I said it would be a little bit louder. It's kind of hard to tell in the video. It's a little bit louder from the back. You can hear a lot more turbo spool up noise from the front, which is kind of cool in my opinion. I'm pretty sure the owner of the car is gonna be happy about that too. He's also going to have the SCR cat deleted as well, which is in the middle of the exhaust, like right behind the transmission. That will also make the exhaust exponentially louder as well. I'll try to get a video of that after he has that done, just to show you guys what that's like. Other than that, appreciate you guys watching the video. Please subscribe to the channel, and see you guys later.